Said Art Smitten, if there was a superhero named Picasso, his superpower would be to have his paintings joined together and morph into a living organism to blow you back. Art then referenced the Galerie Georges Petit Exposition Picasso in Paris that was hung from June through July in 1932, a show Picasso hung himself, with no adherence to chronology. Rose period paintings put together with neoclassical paintings that were paired with bone paintings. At first glance, this made no sense. The viewers were befuddled. But when they adjusted, the effect was electric and the internal coherence obvious. Picasso always looked back to look forward, always looped between styles, always sought out new technique and ever more complex pictographic shorthand. But his themes were his themes, and when assembled this way, the pictures seemed to talk to each other. Marlowe understood looking back to look forward. For him, this was the path of least resistance. He and Art were discussing the Bonga Bonga movie and the Metamorphosis skit Bunny and Bester had written for him and Picasso, with some assistance from Powell and Pressburger, the British production team known collectively as the Archers. Party Pro Smarty knew it wasn't a party without Picasso. The thing about the dead, he said, they're not as busy as you think. Except for Marlon Brando. But Picasso can be a dick. No offense meant to the maestro. Said Art Smitten, you're a can-do guy, Marlowe. You get it, you got it, so fuck Picasso. Smarty had a way of overstating when he was trying to butter you up. But clever as Smarty was, for Marlowe, reading his thought bubbles didn't require special glasses. If Picasso demanded more money, Marlowe would get less. Smarty made a motion of stirring the pot. Hear those parrots, Marlowe? I hear 'em squawking, Smarty, loud and clear. But Smarty talked set design and wardrobe and the beaches of France, and knew Marlowe would work for biscuits and throw in a free polish on the dialogue when promised that this time he'd get the girl. Marlowe knew the score, but no one cooked it up like Smarty, and whatever resistance Marlowe initially had was overwhelmed by Smarty's enthusiasm. His new card? Art Smitten, auteur. How do you keep a straight face? Marlowe asked his friend, who answered, one day, it just happens. But we're getting ahead of the story. May, spring again, and little bells were dancing in his garden, bathing their faces in the sun. Time to paint the rocks and rakes and boards and palm fronds and empty paint cans, get the totems tippy-top again. Winter takes its toll. Things fall apart. The pitcher cracks at the fountain. The wheel breaks at the cistern. Last year at this time, a bluebird had staked out territory in Marlowe's garden. Spring bluebirds are usually scruffy. They take a battering through the winter. But this one was exceptionally turned out, handsome. The bird called, and Marlowe answered. A year later, where he'd seen a bluebird, he saw a bird with a red head and a black body. Marlowe stood on his deck looking south towards Big Sur and noted the anthropomorphic outline of a woman with her legs spread apart. Perhaps erotic passion, or birth, as Robinson Jeffords used this geographic landmark in The Roan Stallion. Henry Miller would have seen this. Henry Miller painted here and had a painter's eye. Henry Miller was Marlowe's first writer-hero. Tropic of Cancer blew his mind. Rip Torn in the movie. He sometimes mixed the two. Rip Torn, great name. Maybe in his next act Marlowe would be Shred Fray or Nibble Bite, Wiki Whack, Big Wiki, Little Wiki, or Jack Swack. But we digress. A typewriter could get Henry Miller through anything. His was an intoxicated art-mad soul. What if Henry ran into another Henry? Would two Henry Millers be too much? What if Marlowe ran into another Marlowe? Would he recoil? Well, would you hang out with you? But Marlowe thought of Art Smitten. When he was with Art Smitten, it was almost like being with himself. Because when a laugher meets a laugher, it's forever. It seemed only yesterday to Marlowe that he stood in the art museum with Art Smitten in front of Picasso's The Dream from 1932. There was Marie-Thérèse, Picasso's secret lover. They met by chance on the street. Picasso said, "You have an interesting face. I would like to do a portrait of you. I am Picasso." She didn't know he was famous or married to a Russian dancer, but she liked him. She was 17. He was 45. Marlowe's eyes passed over the string of beads on her tilted neck, shifting from black to white, the flower-patterned wallpaper, the striped wallpaper, the chair arms which held her like a captive, and in the upper part of her sleeping tilted face was Picasso's semi-tumescent penis. Right there, in plain view, for all the school kids on their field trip to see. But, of course, they didn't see. "Fool the mind, not the eye," said Picasso.